Hi, welcome to another episode of Vision Quest. My name's Ashley Appap, and if you don't know me, oh my god, well, now you do. I'm a writer and comedian from Melbourne, Australia, and this is my podcast where I talk to people that I like about things that they like, and we just hang out, and it's a real fun time. And if this is your first time, thank you for being here, new friend. Welcome. Who are you? Who are you? And if you have been here before, welcome back. It's so lovely to have you, our guest. I'm very, very excited to have him here. It's my dear friend, Justin Kosisky, everyone. Welcome, Justin. Woo, 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 wow. Ooh, little snappies.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you. So right now, in my time zone, it's 7:30 a.m., but for you, it's about 1:30 p.m. You're in Arizona. You're living it up in the hot, hot desert.
Oh, yeah. It's scorching.
What's the weather like there right now? Because it's like spring?
Yeah, well, right now it's actually like in the early 60s, like late 50, like 57, 59.
So still kind of cold.
Yeah, the high is 61.
Okay.
But
anyway.
It's nice.
That's good. But enough about weather, because we're talking like we don't know each other, and we in fact do.
We sure do.
So Justin and I met, much like previous guests, Andy and Molly, in 2016. We did a summer intensive at IO Chicago doing improv, and it was just the best. It was so much fun. And you're the third part of Journal Me Fine. As I've talked to the other guys, I'm so excited to be chatting with you. I miss you so much. I haven't seen you in years, literal years.
I know. I miss you too. Yeah, I'm the third and the kink in Journal Me Fine. If ever there's whenever we have a break in time or whatever, it's because of me.
It's because Justin's doing a big shit and everyone has to wait, and he's sitting there on the toilet like, just one more nugget.
Yeah, that's why.
Justin has severe IBS problems.
What can I say?
What can I say? It's hard to go to the toilet. So what can you tell everyone out there a little bit about yourself, like all the incredible different artistic things that you do?
Yeah, I'm back in Arizona with my parents from Manhattan, where I was for 4 years after high school. I skipped college. I just moved to New York, and I found a job working at an art studio as a janitor, and then I worked my way up from there. And yeah, so I worked there for up until the pandemic disabled me from working.
Yeah.
And then I had no more income, couldn't pay for the apartment, came back to my parents' place, and that's where I am now.
Yeah, classic. Been there, done that. Same.
Yeah. You know how it is.
So in terms of stuff that you make, can you tell people about, like, you make music, you do art? Would I be able to like put some pictures up for the people watching this on YouTube of your art?
Yeah, 100%. I make my art is on Justin Art Boy on Instagram. It's very abstract, expressionist. It's not for everyone.
It's for me.
It's for you.
I love it.
You know, you either hate it or you love it. That's fine. And then my music is everywhere, SoundCloud, Spotify, under just my name, Justin Kosisky. And then, Andy and I used to make videos, and that's under Just And Comedy.
So good. I already told this on Andy's episode, but the Friday video is my favorite thing. It's just so good.
Thank you. I texted him and I was just like, do you remember like how excited you were as a kid when it was Friday? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, we should do a video on that. So we just came over. Pretty much all our videos were just like when we were hanging out, and then we'd have an idea. Yeah.
Well, that's a great way to do it because that was so funny.
Thank you.
Okay, well, let's get into these questions.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so the first question is, what did you want to be when you grew up, and why do you think that is?
So I remember, like, in 6th grade, like, from then on, basically, I wanted to write and perform for Saturday Night Live. And I was, like, in love with the cast at that time, and my friends would come over and we'd watch it, and I felt like I could do it, and it was inspiring for me to think about it. You know, it was like there was Fred Armisen, Bill Hader, Kenan Thompson, who's been there for decades.
Yeah.
Nassim Pedrad, Jason Sudeikis, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Maya Rudolph. The stack was cast.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was like my ultimate goal, because, you know, when you're a kid, you're like, you could do anything. So it's like either go to the moon or do SNL. So that was my biggest goal. Yeah, I think why? I think because I was pretty funny.
You still are.
Thank you. But yeah, I was like a funny kid. I made my friends laugh. I made adults laugh. And so I thought that was like plausible, like if I actually pursued it. And even if it wasn't SNL, I was a fan of like College Humor and stuff, which at the time was based out of New York. And so I was like, I just want to go to New York and just write funny shit, basically. And ideally, like if I could perform it, that would be cool.
Hell yeah, that's so great. And you accomplished a lot of those things. I know, obviously, being on SNL is like the hardest thing. And honestly, some would say walking on the moon, yeah, great, hard. But
yeah,
getting on SNL, potentially harder. Think about it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny too, because like as a kid you think about it, but and then I stopped watching SNL like in like 9th or 10th grade, but I continued like writing comedy sketches every night and trying to, like, I was still pursuing that dream for some reason. I think it's because like everybody validates SNL. Like if you're not a fan of comedy, like you see SNL and you're like, oh shit, so you put them up there. So I think that's part of it, is because like I wanted to just be validated by like people who didn't understand the industry or what. I mean, not that I understood the industry, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think like you and Andy successfully were in cage match at UCB, and you guys did so many DCMs and different shows and things. That is like just being able to be in New York and do those things is a step that so many people wouldn't even get to. So like you worked that hard to get to that step. That's a version of doing that. And I know what you mean by like I also was like, okay, by 2020, I don't know why I had this in my head. At like 15, I was like, okay, right now it's like whatever year it was, 2011, 2010. And I was like, great, we've got 10 years. In 10 years, I'm going to be writing on SNL because I'm not American. I don't think I can be on it, but I can write for it. Sounds great. I'm going to accomplish that. Don't know what. And also then in that plan was like, move to LA. Didn't think, go to New York where that's a thing that happens. I was like, no, but this makes sense to me. It did. And it's this thing where like, when you think about like the amount of the like hours that the people on SNL have to do, crazy, not healthy, not good for your body. No. There's that, and there's also like the culture of like burnout and all this stuff in it. It's just the only thing that we've really seen, apart from, you know, Comedy Central sketch shows and stuff, that is like a good outline for like how to succeed doing at least sketch comedy, you know. And it's just like, oof, I wish there was something else. You know, imagine if the Amanda Show was still on. That'd give us something else to write for.
I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how that works. Like, there's so many other outlets, too. And it's funny, too, because, like, now that I'm, like, a little bit older from when I first moved out there, I'll shout out my friend Randall Otis, who was on my first improv team in New York. He just wrote for the Grammys. Like, he wrote some monologues, and he works for Trevor Noah, and he's, like, fucking crushing it.
Hell yeah.
So it's just so insane to see, like, it's plausible, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, if you really stick with it and if you push it and don't just do improv, I feel like if you do a lot of stand-up and stuff, you could do it.
Yeah, for sure. It's weird here because it's so, like, the industry here is so much smaller. But I now am, like, I have friends here that have, like, been doing exactly what you said, like, doing stand-up for a really long time, or doing versions of, like, their own, like, comedy festival shows and stuff, because the festival circuit is really big here, that now are, like, writing for, like, our version of Trevor Noah and shows like that, where it's, like, political satire and things like that.
Yeah.
So you're right, but also it's so tiring to do things.
Yeah, that's the other half of it.
Life.
It's so fucking tiring.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next question, which is, what is your favorite thing about yourself?
By the way, I don't just have these right off. Like, I don't just think about my favorite thing about myself. I thought about this. So
yes.
I think it's my creativity, because I can always make use of time by myself, which is nice. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there are some days where I'm just pretty much catatonic in my bed. But at the same time, like, if I have a few open days, I get excited about, like, painting, drawing, making music, or even just writing, like, watching a bunch of different pilots and looking at the structure and what they do, and just writing for fun.
Hell yeah.
For me, so I think it's my creativity is my favorite thing.
That's so great. I feel like so many people don't even realize that their creativity is, like, a part, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of creative people are just like, yeah, well, this is the thing that I do for fun, but then this, but it's like, no, it's an important part of you.
Oh yeah, it's gotta be for fun, you know.
Yeah.
In my perspective, it's like, it has to, I think it at least has to start for fun.
Yeah.
It's, you know.
I was listening to a podcast where someone was talking about, like, the fact that when you start getting money for making stuff, that if the money stops, a lot of people, like, stop doing it because they're like, oh, well, this has become a job. It's not my, like, fun thing anymore.
Yeah.
So it's this, like, weird line where it's like, is it better to actually have your creative outlets be your job, or is it better to have it just be your hobby, so then that way you don't stop loving doing it?
That's such a good point, because when I was working in New York, it was like all the art that, like, once they were hired for all the art, like, it wasn't fun. It was like meeting deadlines, and it was just so stressful.
Yeah.
They still managed to fit in, like, doing their own stuff, though, thankfully.
That's good, yeah. Well, I remember when I was working, like, it's different, but when I was doing assistant jobs in LA, obviously it's not super creative, but, like, even on days where I did get to do fun, exciting stuff, like, you just don't have the energy afterwards to, like, do what you want to do for your own stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
Any creative job is, like, it takes more than just, like, showing up and doing it, like, because you have to push yourself to think further, I feel like.
Rather than, like, just letting your creativity come whenever it arrives and being like, oh, now's the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's do the next question. All right, so the next question is, what's your favorite feeling?
it's hard for me to try and choose a favorite feeling the same way, like, I don't really have a favorite color because, like, sometimes when I feel like I'm in my, like, in my bad feelings, I pull a lot of, like, inspiration from that, that I can put into whatever and relate to other people. So, like, I'm grateful for it in that aspect. I love, like, when I wake up in the morning and I know I haven't done anything bad and I don't have to, like, go through a list of who I have to apologize to, and I can just, like, have a coffee and play guitar.
Yeah.
So I guess that's, like, serenity.
Yeah, that is. Like,
Yeah.
it's like the 21st century version of, like, waking up in a lake house or something and just being like, the day is ready for me. It's like, you check your phone and there's nothing bad there and you're like, thank God, great, I can just go on with my day.
Yeah, I don't have to, like, look at text and be like, oh God, I don't even want to open that thread because who knows what I said. Yeah.
Yes, I completely understand. Okay, the next question is, what's your happy place?
I think I'm still trying to find it because when I think about my old happy places, there's a lot of elements that, like, have been permanently removed. So, like, I can't go back to it, and so that's kind of like that's difficult because, like, I want to look for a happy place where, like, I can look forward to going back to.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I think I'm still kind of looking for that because right now all my old ones are, like, there's an element of it that can't be patched.
Yeah, like mainly in New York, you mean?
Yeah, like in New York, with certain people. Or
what about, like, a metaphorical one or something? Like, mine isn't so much a place as it is, like, floating on water. Like, if I'm, like, in water and just floating, I'm like, this is it. This is like all I need. Do you have something that you do, like, maybe it's when you're playing music or when you're painting, where you get in this, like, flow or something where you feel like this is my good spot?
Yeah, when you put it like that, there are times, like, if I have a good playlist going and I'm, like, painting, there are times where I just completely get lost in it, and that's really superb. Yeah.
Ooh, I love that. And you know what? Not enough people use the word superb. Bring it back.
Yeah, let's bring it back, guys, if you're listening.
You know what? If you're listening, you better call someone right now, say the word superb, and hang up. And then they'll be like, that was fucking weird. But then they'll be like, superb, what does it mean? And then they'll be walking around all day going, superb, 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 superb. What?
Yeah.
And then now...
yeah, exactly. And if they're subconsciously thinking superb, they're going to look for superb things in their life. And then you're going to change the fucking world. So you're welcome.
And that's how you make positive change. Not recycling, not activism.
No. Bullshit. Lousy.
Just say the word
It's been done.
Non-original, you know?
It's all been done. Just
try something different for once.
For once. Yeah.
Dumb idiots. Okay, the next question is, what's your favorite song to cry to? A nice depressing question.
Yeah, no, that's good. You know, I had to go through a list, but, you know, when I first saw this question, immediately I went to Elliott Smith. That's the guy I've gone to cry to since, like, 9th grade.
Yeah.
So I would say probably Elliott Smith's is Speed Trials or Better Be Quiet Now. Or Nico from the Velvet Underground. She has a beautiful whole thing. These Days, that's another one I frequently go to when I want to be sad. She has a line in her song that's like, please don't confront me with my failures. I have not forgotten them.
Oof.
And that's always rings true to me. Like, every time I'm reminded of something shitty I did, I know I have to face it and apologize and all that, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I've been thinking about this nonstop.
Yeah. And once again, Justin is talking about his chronic IBS. He said something shitty.
Exactly.
And he's breaking toilets all over the United States.
Every time I fucking wreck a toilet with my dump truck ass, I have to apologize for it. And, you know, I think about it relentlessly.
Mm-hmm. Causing plumbing catastrophes nationwide.
Exactly.
You have a plumber on speed dial and you're like, Rick, I did it again.
Rick, I'm sorry, dude. But he's making mad commission off me, so.
Yeah, Rick's not complaining.
Yeah, he's got commish for the bish.
Ooh.
And I'm the bish.
Yeah, you are. Okay, the next question is, who's someone you admire?
Well, initially when I saw that, I thought of my bosses, Jacques and Eric, because they moved to New York with no money in the late 70s, and they came up in New York throughout the 80s with the AIDS crisis and the crack epidemic, and they thrived, and they made an art studio that just the two of them, like just with their vision, which became one of the main spots for NBC, CBS, 60 Minutes, Dateline, 48 Hours, like all those like interview shows. And it's funny because it's like all these corporate shows by these giant networks, and when you boil it down, it's just two guys who painted the walls of a space they found white, you know. So I admire them a lot because they taught me that, like, it's all fake, you know.
Yeah.
Just fake it and make it look good, and people will buy into it, basically. And they work really hard, so I admire them a lot. Yeah, Jacques Rosas and Eric Stedding.
Shout out.
Shout out to them.
I love that. That's so sweet. I feel like everyone gives very varied answers to that question, but it's nice to hear like that story, like, oh, just love a rags to riches moment, but also like exactly what you said. That's such a useful, good lesson to have learned from like actual mentors. I feel like so many people would be like, my boss, like, I don't know anything about them, but the fact that you like know enough about them and have like learned so much from them is really cool. So that must have been such a positive like influence on you while you were there.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, for sure. I learned so much for them, and you know, working for them, I mean, when you're working for any like small company, you kind of have to put your hands into like a lot of different baskets.
Yeah.
So it was really tough at times. I don't want to like neglect that aspect of it, but ultimately I learned a lot of valuable lessons, and I really respect them.
So the next question is, what's some weird kid stuff you used to do?
So I remember like in kindergarten, I would like when I was getting ready for school and stuff, I would like, I hadn't seen the movie yet, but it was like I was in the Truman Show, and I just always pretended like I was being broadcasted across the world. So like when I used to like cake my fucking head in hair gel in kindergarten, but like when I was doing it, it was like pretending I was in a show. Pretty much at all times I was, so.
That's amazing. Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just because I was like a natural born narcissist or what, but.
Hey, maybe.
Hey.
But also, like, everyone has those moments where you're like, like, whether it's like something good happens and you're like, how did that happen? and you're like, this can't be real. Or like
the serendipity.
Yeah, and like when something really bad happens, you're like, come on. Or if it's just like, I've had those moments where you're just looking in the mirror and you're just like, today on my show, like you just, but the fact that you're like 6 years old is so funny. Like that's so cute. Just like this little kid.
I know, I was like a little kid and I was just, I wanted to perform, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like always pretended I was in a show, and like when I was alone in my room, I would like, I would have that delusion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember being around that age in my room and like having the door closed and like listening to my music, which is probably like, Britney Spears, Hilary Duff, Hanson, Bewitched. Yeah. When I was a little bit older, when the punk phase began, a bit of Simple Plan. But like sitting there listening to it in my room and being like, no one understands me, like, and like and like any kind of emotional song, and sitting there and like bawling myself up, like holding my knees and being like, if only they could see me now. And like what nothing was happening, everything was fine, like,
right.
I'm like sitting there like playing with my Polly Pockets being like, no one understands me, like.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've done that, I've been there. But for me it was G.I. Joes. I was big into that, the small ones, not the big ones.
Okay, the ones that you could choke on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and then the last question is, do you think aliens are real?
Yes, I do. I always have. And, firstly, I think like it's so much more fun to just believe they're real than to not. So why not? I mean, fuck it. Like, what are you doing? Like, why not believe the galaxy is so vast. The universe is so vast. Mm-hmm. You may as well. But I always thought it would be like a bacteria we discover. Like,
Ooh.
I always thought, like, thinking realistically, it would be like, oh, we found a germ on Mars and this guy is wiggling. You know what I mean? Like, it would make more sense if it was like a bacteria or germ in my brain, because I felt like it would be somewhat underwhelming.
Yeah, but the idea of a scientist being like, we found a germ is very funny.
We found a fucking germ. Yeah, I never necessarily thought it would be like a green or gray alien coming down, but I frequently watch videos on like testimonial witness videos of like UFO sightings or whatever, and I really like try to believe them.
Yeah.
Even, it sounds outlandish at sometimes, but like, why the fuck not? There's so many weird things happen, so
oh yeah,
why not aliens? Like, I mean, the fucking galaxy is pretty gosh darn big.
Yeah, and that is a fact. If anything else,
that's just science.
Anything else we've said here has been a complete lie, but the fact that the universe is big, that's the one.
Look it up, guys.
Just go to www.google.com and in the search bar type how big is the universe. It will give you the answer. Pretty fucking big.
Yeah, it's pretty freaking large.
BFL.
Yeah.
Oh no, pretty. Starts with P, not with B.
Yep.
And that's the first lesson. Learn to spell. Lesson 2.
Yeah.
Go to the internet and find that information.
Yeah, in that order. It's imperative.
Because you're not going to know how to type if you can't read.
Yeah, unfortunately. You could try as you might. But yeah, I think they're real. I think they're out there. And hopefully in our lifetime we will make communication with something. Ideally more than a germ. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would. Would you volunteer to be probed?
100%, yeah. Probe my ass.
Yeah, I was going to say, anally probed seems like from media what they do. They just go straight up the butt.
Yeah, from the media, yeah, I don't mind. I'll do it, for an alien sighting. Fuck yeah.
Hey, maybe it'd stop your shitting.
It might solve my severe IBS problem.
They clog you right up. They put some germ up in your butt that stops everything.
I just need a germ.
Put Rick out of business.
Just give me the germ.
Rick suffers a deep depression because he no longer has the most stable income of his life.
We found a germ that your doctors will hate.
And it's called health. That's right. Doctors are a scam. They want us to be sick. No, please, no one. This is a joke. Go to the doctor.
Simply a bit. Go visit your local doc.
Visit your local doc and say, "Hey doc, have you said the word superb lately?"
Yeah. They'll be shocked. They'll upgrade you to a higher insurance plan.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll get 40% off your annual, what do they do? I don't know. I haven't been to the doctor in years.
Okay, so now we've finished all the goddamn questions, baby. Okay. So
already,
that was quick. That was so quick.
It was.
Time flies.
I came prepared.
You did. You're doing a great job.
I need to hear that.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I mean, you're doing a great job in all aspects. Right now, within this microcosm of answering the questions, an even greater job, because I love a good preparation moment. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course. I'm happy to be here. I was excited.
I'm very excited to hear what is your topic. What are we going to be talking about?
Okay. My topic, I hope it doesn't sound pretentious at all, but through my artistic endeavors of creative expressionism, just, fucking around in a sketchbook, I believe everybody is an artist. And
yeah.
I think people get caught up in, thinking they have to be like so talented doing like realism or whatever, but you could just be an expressionist artist. And also I think like just the act of putting a pen to a paper or, buy some paint and just fuck around. It doesn't matter. I think it's cathartic to anybody. Mm-hmm. And I think it's anybody's art is valid because we all come from different backgrounds and planes of existence, and it's all worth seeing. And you might make some bullshit that you think sucks, and maybe you share it with people, and maybe somebody out there, it's a pretty big earth, as we discovered, we talked about this, but somebody might find something in it that you didn't see, which I've discovered. And that's a really cool experience. So I think if you're bored or if you have time in your hands, you should just try making some art, whether you're just doodling or painting. I know Zentangle was big for a bit because it's pretty straightforward.
What's that?
It was like a medium of just like taking a pen to a paper and just doing designs. Like you do a line, a line, a line, a squiggle, a squiggle, a squiggle. And if that satisfies you, I'd say just do that. Or if you want to go further, I would say just try not to judge yourself and put your pen to the paper or your paintbrush, and just don't judge it and just do it. And you're an artist because you come from a unique background and somebody might relate to it, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. It's so interesting. I feel like in my experience of like putting things out there for a long time, like similar to you, I mean, you and Andy making the videos, I think was a big step forward in like putting something out there that people could like critique. Like improv and stuff like that is different because it's, you do it once and then it's gone. If it's bad, there's like maybe 50 people that saw it, and then they're not going to be like, you suck because of that. But up until like a year and a half ago, there was like nothing out there that I had ever done, because I think I was always so afraid of being like, oh, but if someone hates it, like it's going to make me feel bad. And it's like, yeah, but what if someone likes it? Like, and who fucking, like, as long as you like it, and specifically in terms of comedy, I think, like, just making stuff that makes you laugh is the best thing you can do, because then it's like the people that like it are your people. Like, why would you care about someone who thinks it's like, well, I don't get it, or like, that's not funny, or this isn't
yeah, you don't want to hang out with somebody that's like, this isn't you know, that's not our group.
Exactly.
And it's all subjective, so fuck it. You know, people are gonna hate it, but you know, some people are gonna like it, and I think it's a way to connect with more people, so you may as well just fucking do it. Like,
yeah,
that's what I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many different ways to, like what I was saying before, often if you, I mean, we both, I'm sure, would love to make money from art. But
100%.
But it seems like often people that do, it ends up becoming less of like a fun thing for them, or, you know, and so on. But if there's a way to like just make stuff that isn't what you're doing, I think that can strengthen what you're trying to do as well. Like, for example, I throughout quarantine figured out how to like tie-dye stuff. And
hell yeah. I remember that.
It's so fun, and like I don't give a shit about, like, I have friends that have been like, you should sell some of these on Etsy, and I thought about it, but I just worked out in terms of like how much it costs to get all the colors and t-shirts and stuff. It just I could do it, but I wouldn't be it would just kind of be, I would rather make it for people like that I know that want things, so that I can give it to them as gifts, rather than like mass produce these things and then have all these excess stuff that, you know, it just doesn't seem worth it to me. And also I'm just making it for fun, but like, I found that on days where I did that, because I was spending, you know, a few hours at a time just making something for literally no reason, just because it was something fun to do, to like take my mind off the fact that the world was burning. It made, like, when I would sit down to write or like record this podcast or edit the podcast or make silly videos or whatever it is, I would feel the same like weightlessness, and like the pressure was gone, because it's like, oh, I'm reminding myself that I can just make something for the sake of making something, rather than like only focusing on like the result.
Right. Oh, 100%. I think everybody would benefit from just like, you know, just making something, some artistic thing, whether it's tie-dye or painting or drawing. And like, even if it comes out as something you don't necessarily love, I feel like you're, you know, like you said, you felt that weight off you. Like, you're still getting the gunk out in a way, just in a different medium.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I feel like it's beneficial regardless.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of crossover between fun artistic things and stuff we used to do just to fill time as kids. Like, we used to just play more, and we would, you know, it was normal to have like, let's sit down and draw something, let's paint, let's just like play with textures of like sand, and there's just stuff. Like, there was so much more play encouraged, which I think is really good for artistic stuff. And I think that's why I think it's definitely been happening here, and I'm pretty sure in the US there seemed to be like a wave of people like roller skating and rollerblading again.
Oh yeah, and I think that's also like TikTok has been pushing all these trends.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Where it's like capitalism also, because now everyone's buying the same nice, like, cute roller skates and stuff. But I think
know.
that's like a
Going
version
to
of
Target.
yeah, exactly. But I think that's a version of like a hobby where people are like, oh, this is something I used to do when I was little, where it's like you disconnect from your phone. I mean, I'm guessing you could roller skate and look at your phone, but that seems very dangerous. Like you like are like just in your body, and you're doing this thing that like feels really freeing and like weightless, as opposed to just like sitting on your phone and doing whatever. I think there's as horrible, you know, for so many of us as the pandemic has been and everything, I feel like there are people who are figuring out like, oh, these things that I did when I was younger, like are like still there inside me. And I feel like that's such a big part of creativity. Like if you can't like, I mean, that's not a good way to put it. I think being able to like access the things that you liked when you were really little can kind of like unlock things in your brain for like making stuff.
Yeah, that's such a good way to put it. And I hadn't even really thought of it that way, but that makes so much sense. It's like you're like reconnecting with that old like part of yourself where things were just so much lighter and more innocent, and like you allowed yourself the time to just like not judge anything and just be free and play.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's the same thing with like just drawing, or I mean roller skating, any like affordable hobby, really. I think it's really beneficial.
Yeah, I think so. And like there's so many things, like your whole point, like everyone can be an artist. I had like a Zoom painting night with some friends. It was we just like watched a Bob Ross thing and did it all together, and we all did cool. like obviously it doesn't matter how well the thing turns out. It was more about doing this thing together.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun, and like those friends aren't necessarily creative people in their everyday lives. Like they're like a couple of them are teachers, one's like a fitness instructor, one works in like for a non-for-profit, and like not at all implementing creativity into their daily lives, but like you could see how at the end of this thing everyone was just like, wow, that was really like relaxing and calming, and being able to look at something that they made and be like, whoa, I like made something.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And, you know, it's essential to, like, really utilize and access, like, both parts of your brains, because we all have to do it every day. Mm-hmm. Like, logistically, we all have to do math every day to an extent, you know. And I feel like at the same time, though, we don't always get, like, the freedom to just have fun and play, like, be creative every day, but I think it's just as essential.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, think of kids that you know, and think of like I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but like I have little cousins, and seeing the difference in them when they're like just playing, like they play like make believe, or whether they're like drawing or doing just like playing outside, versus when they're like staring at their iPads. It's just like so sad to see them just like
Yeah, it is. No, I know what you mean. Yeah, I have a lot of really young cousins too. And it's the same thing, yeah.
And like we didn't have any version of that when we were little. I guess like there was like the family computer, but that was a very different thing to like.
Oh yeah.
Sitting.
Yeah, because that's like a whole new discovery, and you know.
Even on the computer, I remember there's this show that was on when we were really little. I think it's British. You probably even maybe know. It's called Art Attack, and it was this guy. Oh my god, it was so good. Maybe I can share my screen and show you.
Yeah.
Okay, let me.
Is it like a Bob Ross type thing?
No, it was like for kids.
Was it one of those like visual sensory things?
It was this man would literally make art and like show you how to make it.
That's so funny because we opened this episode talking about how I'm seeing my cousin today who told me he wants to be an artist when he grows up.
Exactly. And there's a new version of Art Attack apparently. But
This is an art attack. This is an art attack. This is Art Attack.
Alert. Let's get messy. I love this already.
it's this man with these giant art things around him. And then he'd basically, I think, a lot of the time show you how to make something, but often with like things around your house or... And it was just really creative, fun stuff. And we had like a computer game version of it where you could make animations and you could draw things. Oh, no shit. And we loved it. And my sister and I had this quote unquote joke in our head. It wasn't a joke at all. It was like an image that we had. And we would just like every now and then like slowly walk up to each other and whisper in each other's ear and walk away. And we both would end up crying laughing. We thought it was so funny. And so we made it into an animation.
Yeah.
And it was, imagine this, so it's like a suburban street, you've got like a sidewalk, and this little kid's walking along, he's got a backpack on, and he's got a little red cap, and he's just like, do, 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 do. And then behind him, this man comes up, and he's wearing a cape and a top hat. And he's like, hee 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 hee, shh. And then from nowhere, he pulls out a fridge and throws it at the kid and runs away.
So the kid gets crushed.
So the kid is killed by this magician or something. And that's it.
So what were you whispering to your kid? To your sister?
I would be like, man throwing fridge at kid. Like we would just give the synopsis of this thing that we saw in our heads, and we would both be like, like we thought it was so funny. And then when we made the cartoon, like I remember us finishing it and being like, oh my god, we got to show mum and dad, and like getting them over here and be like, okay, we made this. And they're like, is this what you've been doing for like 3 weeks, like every weekend for the last 3 weeks? And we're like, yes. And like press play, and they're watching it and they're like disturbed obviously, and we're like crying. We think it's the funniest thing we've ever seen.
Yeah. Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, just some wholesome murder.
Some wholesome murder. And that's the gift that art brings, is bringing siblings together like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. But even like my nephew is 1, and he loves drawing already, and because he's got his like little rainbow palette of crayons or whatever, the special ones for babies to grip, which is just so cute.
Yeah.
And my sister, like, he has this book that's got rainbows in it, so she drew like a little rainbow. She's like, can you do that? And he's like, oh. And he goes, Wemba. And then he drew a fucking rainbow, and it's like up on the wall, and he'll be walking.
He's 1?
He's 1, and he'll be like,
damn,
Wemba, and then like keep going.
That's adorable.
It's
damn,
so cute.
That's like really advanced, right? I mean, like,
I'm sure she was holding his hand while he did it. I don't think he was just like do,
but still,
you know, like.
I mean, like, what age do you start to like see an object and then call it its correct name, like a rainbow? You know?
Usually, I think between like 6 months and a year. I think I'm gonna Google it.
Okay, because I was 10 before I started doing that.
around month 5, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
So he's correct. He's
correct.
He's on par,
yes,
like with the average.
The first thing he could say in context was cheese. Like he knew what cheese was and was like, cheese.
That's impressive. There's lots of different kinds. So
I mean, the one he eats is just shredded, and it's on his little baby table, and he just goes.
Right.
He
Babies
eats more than
babies do that.
me. He eats like, we go to my nonna's house every Tuesday night for dinner, and my nonna makes pasta, and he eats a bowl like as big as my dad's.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and he sits there with his like nothing on, it's just like on the top,
Right.
naked baby covered in sauce, and he's going. And then if the plate, because we give him just like little bits at a time, and then as soon as there's
Yeah.
nothing there, he goes mo. And we're like, enough. And he
That's
goes,
adorable.
mo. And then to say please, he says ta. So he'll go, ta. And then I give it to him and he goes, ta. And then he eats it.
What is ta? Is that
It's meant to be like shorthand for please and thank you
in what language?
in Australia, I guess.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a very normal thing. Little kids, when they're little, you teach them to say ta instead of please and thank you. And then when they're like,
Oh, that's cool.
I guess like 3 or 4, you start being like, please, thank you. But it's like
Right.
a shorthand way to get them to do that.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah. I think maybe it's a thing in the UK as well. You know what? Let's go back to Google. Natural infantile sound of gratitude. Yeah, English. Yeah, it's an English thing. It's a British thing.
So it's just a natural sound that probably everyone makes. And then they were like, well, let's just make this say please and thank you, basically.
I guess so.
Do you know what your first word was?
I think it was dad. So boring.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was
No,
dad.
it's cute. It's cute.
No, I wish I knew what. I wish my parents, like, I'm the second kid, so they didn't give a shit. Like, they.
I'm the second kid, too.
Yeah, what was your first word?
My first word was hi,
Oh,
oddly
yeah.
enough. Isn't
Classic.
that funny?
Hi, like that.
Yeah, it was. I would just say hi to everybody, but also I wonder if like I just made a noise and it was interpreted as hi, because I
My-
mean it's like the easiest thing to say.
Yeah. My nephew goes, hey, and waves in that cadence as well. Hey.
That's so cute.
He's so funny.
How old is he?
What? The same baby. There's only one baby.
Oh, that's the same one.
Only
Oh
one
shit.
baby. Yeah, he's got he's got words up to here. But no, I really wish I knew what like non-mum or dad word I said first, but
Yeah. Who knows?
okay, so before we wrap this up, I would just like
Yeah.
to know, is there any kind of last thing you would like to say about creativity and everyone being an artist in general, or anything specific?
Okay. No, I feel like we covered it all. I would just say, like, if you haven't tried it, you should try it. It's fun. I'm not an expert. I just like to do it because it's fun.
Yeah.
And I recommend it.
Yeah. What's a really simple way, in your opinion, for someone who like feels like they're not creative at all? Like they're like an accountant. They eat cans of tuna and nothing else. Like pretty boring human being. You know what I'm gonna say? A boring person. If
Yeah.
there's a boring person out there watching it or listening to this, what do you think is a good first step someone could try to like dip their toes into making something or being creative?
Yeah, I would say just don't judge yourself. Just go to like your local, I don't know if it's Michael's. I hate to promote these places, but if it's Michael's or Target or Blick, whatever.
Yeah, craft store.
Yeah, just go to a craft store. Just buy a sketchbook. Even if you just have a notebook lying around, I would just say the hardest thing to get past is not judging yourself, and
Yeah.
then just maybe just put a show on or something like a comfort show that you've seen. I don't know if it's like Bob's Burgers or New Girl or whatever. For me, it's like Arrested Development. I've seen it, but I'll just put it on sometimes if I
Yeah.
want to like do other stuff and have it in the background, and just like have fun with it. Maybe like if there's one like Zentangle, like I mentioned, is like one way. It's very cathartic. It's very like puts you in that zone.
Mm-hmm.
it's just doing designs and like repeating them, or just, I don't know, just whatever comes to mind. If you're inspired by like your show or something you saw that day, just start with that. And then I would say just don't erase anything, and just, if you think you make a mistake, see how you can work it in instead of like starting over. I like doing that.
That's a classic improv move too.
Yeah, totally. It is, yeah.
Look at you. Taking one thing you've learned, putting it with another.
Yeah.
Making beautiful art.
Look at that.
Before we do some plugs, I'm gonna draw something really quick to show you what I like to draw.
Uh-oh.
Can you guess what it is?
Is it vulgar?
No. Unless you're a pussy.
Well, I am kind of a pussy, but
It's not a penis, if that's what you mean. No, it's wholesome, but also
is it two friends on a pod?
I should have done that. Okay, I'm almost done. Just gotta do the finishing touches here. This is my
Take your time.
My classic drawing.
Yeah.
I've decided that any friends that I run into that have like notebooks, if they have a notebook, I'm gonna be like, hey, can I just draw you something in your notebook? And I'm gonna draw this exact image. And you should start like tagging walls, doing graffiti. Oh my god, no! This would be pretty wholesome graffiti.
Do you remember when I was arrested for that once?
What did you write?
I was doing a heart with like a butter knife, but you know the ridges on a knife, how they have ridges, whatever. So I did like a little face, and then I spread it and like blurred the red. So it was about like spreading love.
And you got arrested.
I got arrested.
Oh my god. Incredible. Okay, well, you know what? In regards to that and everything else, this is for Justin and for anyone else. And it is my poo friend.
Oh my god, it's a poo friend.
And it says...
There's flowers.
And it says, you're doing great. It's backwards, I'll flip it. It's got freckles.
Oh my god.
And little flies.
I love the flies contrasted with the little flowers sprouting.
Thank you. Yes.
Very cute.
It's the one thing I can draw, this one piece of shit.
Literally.
Literally, exactly.
It's a beautiful piece of shit.
It is. Thank you. Now, where can anyone out there consuming this find everything that you're doing?
Journal Me Fine is the podcast I do with Andy and Molly, my best friends.
Yay.
We're on Spotify. That's the main thing I pretty much just want to plug, yeah.
And there's video episodes as well. I'll link all of this in the description on YouTube as well.
You're the best.
You are, bud. What about, okay, so then your art, Justin Art Boy.
Yeah, that's on Instagram under that, yeah.
And is it boy with a Y or an I?
With a Y.
Okay.
It's spelled correctly.
Okay, good, because I thought it was with an I, so it's good to clarify. What about your music?
Yeah, that's just Justin Kosisky, Spotify, or wherever you find music.
Amazing. Woo! And then if anyone wants to find anything I'm doing, at Ashley Crap App on everything. Instagram's the best way to find it, I guess. We got my link tree, my Linky McLink tree. Then we got Twitter. I've been getting better at Twitter, which is fun.
Good.
TikTok, posting about my shits. What else? Twitch. My streaming hasn't been as consistent as it should be, but all of that stuff. You can find all of that. That's enough of me. But my dear friend Justin, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I was so excited to be here.
And now I've completed the Journal Me Fine trifecta. What will happen next? I guess, do I perish? Do I stop existing?
Yeah, just restart. And then we'll just every week.
Oh my God. It would be fun to have an episode with you three on at once. It would just be screaming over the top of each other.
Yeah, it would be a nightmare.
It would. My dream, your nightmare. Okay, well, thank you out there, everyone listening and or watching. Please do whatever you need to do with this, whether that be a like, a follow, a subscribe, a rating, a review, sending a link to this to your grandparents and telling them, look, friendship. Do you remember this?
Remember, Grandma, you old bat.
And she's like, all
when
my
you had
friends
a friend.
are dead. R.I.P. to all our grandparents' dead friends and dead grandparents, you know, R.I.P. to all of them. But Justin, thank you so much for being here. I love you, pal. I miss you. I hope you're doing all right.
Likewise.
Woo! Okay.
We did it.
We did it. All right. I'm going to take a big gulp of this into the microphone. Okay. Bye.